every spoken word, what your soul has longed for, what your heart can feel is already here, is already real.
There is no one out there, there is no one else. You hold all the answers deep inside of yourself. There's a voice that whispers, there's no you, no me. There's just one, there's just unity.
One power, one presence, one life to lead the way. All loving, all knowing, that answers when you pray.
When the world looks darkest and your eyes can't see, gather all your troubles, give them all to me. I am always with you, I will always be. I am one, I am unity. We are one, we are unity.
Good morning, Unity community. Welcome to our online Sunday service for December 26th, the last Sunday of 2021. My name is Jana and I am your hostess this morning. I am incredibly happy to be of service to this community today. Thank you for honoring the call of your heart and being present with us as we share in this unity experience together. Well, the Christmas season is officially over. Some people are ready to move on from the festivities of the season, while others want to just keep it going. I hope you celebrated the holidays with gladness, with peace, and with love in your hearts, because that is the Unity way. This year has been an interesting, very interesting mixture of ups and downs, but overall it has been a pretty darn good one. I certainly look forward to seeing what 2022 brings. Let's take a moment to acknowledge who and what we are at Unity of Ventura. We are a radiating center of spiritual well-being. We are known for our fabulous music team and for our outstanding speakers and their thought-provoking messages. We are best known for our loving and welcoming congregation and fellowship. We promise to provide a loving and accepting environment that inspires personal and spiritual growth through the practices of the unity principles as taught by our co-founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. We happily welcome all people. People of all backgrounds and upbringing, all ways of thinking, all ethnicities, philosophies, all races, all creeds, all religions are welcome here at Unity. And that's why we're called Unity. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, know that we are here to support you. So let's take this Unity experience deeper as we move into the morning prayer. Please close your eyes and rest for a moment. Sweet Spirit, we come together as a spiritual family in one mind, with one heart and one consciousness to minister to one another and to be a presence of love and light for each other. As we align ourselves with your indwelling spirit, we access your infinite power. Tapping into our inner source will lead to miraculous changes in our lives and in the world around us. As we rest in your presence, we feel your unconditional love surrounding us and filling us now. We are your beautiful, wondrous children in whom you are so very well pleased. As we honor you this morning, we honor the indwelling spirit within each of us. We take a moment to radiate our light into this space as we send a blessing throughout the universe. We are grateful for this time to worship together, to support and love one another. We pledge to uplift and spiritually feed each other. We are your beacons of love and light, sweet spirit. We give thanks in advance for the insight and musical experiences that we are about to receive. For this and for all our blessings, we say thank you, sweet spirit. So it is, and so it is. Amen. We continue our service with the reading of the daily word, remembering that we're one with millions of readers all over the world. Today's word comes to us from this coming Tuesday, December 28th of 2021. The word is release. The affirmation is, I release the old and embrace the new. As I think of new beginnings, challenges I'd like to take on, or fresh endeavors I wish to try, I remember the releasing of the old makes way for the new. I may feel called to clear up my physical space. If something I own has outlasted its utility, releasing it puts it back into circulation and gives me ample space to welcome the new. Sometimes a spiritual house cleaning is in order as well. I release thoughts, beliefs, and actions that no longer serve me. I open a space within my mind for new understanding and in my heart for divine inspiration. With a fresh outlook, I discern my spiritual guidance. Releasing the past is the first step toward creating the perfect future. This morning's reading was inspired by Matthew chapter 18, verse 18, which says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose in earth will be loosened in heaven." Today's word is release. The affirmation is, I release the old and embrace the new. So it is, and so we let this be. Amen.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire, to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman until the other kids knock him down. When it snows, ain't it thrilling, though your nose gets a chillin'. A beautiful sight, happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. A beautiful sight, happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.
From this space, let's move into a time of meditation. I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't already done so. Release all tension from your body. Drop your shoulders and relax your arms at your sides or sitting on your lap. Deepen the breath as you go within to the place where spirit lives. There is no place to be but right here, right now. Simply be with the breath. I am blessed as I release past events and circumstances that no longer serve me. I release old habits, old thoughts, old feelings, and old ideas that supported me in my past experiences. I bless what once was. I release it and let go. I bless it. I release it. I let go. I am now open to new habits, new thoughts, new feelings, and new ideas as I look forward to the year ahead. I give, I do, and I be the best of myself in words, thoughts, and actions as I move forward. I am secure in the knowledge that God's good is present and all powerful in my life. I am steadfast in my faith as I walk the walk of my way shower. I am victorious as I release the past and look forward to what is next on my journey, living this human experience. I rest now in this moment of silence as I release the old and embrace the new. From this place of deep connection with Spirit, please join me in affirming our statement of truth. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Let's say it together one more time, please. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Let us also affirm Charles Fillmore's prayer. I rest in quietness and confidence after I've spoken the word of truth, knowing that good results will follow. It is time to bring your thoughts back into this room now that we've released the past and we've embraced the new. You are refreshed, you are renewed. We say Amen and Amen. I am thrilled to introduce our guest speaker to the virtual pulpit this morning. Mindy Odlin is a dynamic and engaging speaker. She's a facilitator and a coach who has taught people around the world to put the power of possibility to work in their lives, in their communities, and on the planet. She has authored several books, including the bestseller, What If It All Goes Right? She is a licensed Unity teacher, and she launched Unity's online radio in 2004. We are pleased and honored to have her with us today. Her presentation title is The Space Between. Please join me in welcoming back Mindy Odlin.
Well, greetings, friends at Unity of Ventura. It is great to see you again. I am Mindy Odlin, the founder of the What If Up Club, and I'm thrilled to be here with you on this, what I consider to be one of my favorite Sundays of the year, the Sunday that is in the space between Christmas and that recognition of the Christ that is within us being born anew, and a new year filled with new hope and new possibilities. So thanks for inviting me into your community on this very, very special Sunday. As I reflect upon this time, this space between Christmas and New Year's, what comes to mind for me is a study that I first heard about in a book by Lynn McTaggart. So this is a study, it started back in 1930 by a gentleman named Arlie Bach, and he was with Harvard University. He created a study because he wanted to discover what made for a happy, successful life. You know, when we say Happy New Year, like what are we really wishing upon each other? What does it mean to live a happy life, to have a happy new year? So what he did was he gathered a group of sophomores at Harvard University, all of them men, 268 of them he gathered, and he chose these men particularly because he saw them as being on track to live a healthy, happy, successful life. And so what he did was he gathered these men, and every year through the course of their lives, he would interview them, and he had a team of doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists, and they were poked and probed and questioned throughout their life to determine what is it that creates success and happiness in our life. Well, this was a long study, and as years went by, another researcher came in. His name is George Vaillant, and in 1967, George Vaillant came in and took over that study. Now, what George was expecting to find was 268 success stories, right? Each man had been chosen because they were on track to lead a healthy, successful, happy life. But that was not what he found. He found that a few of them had accomplished a lot, had had great success, including John F. Kennedy became president. That was one of the men in the study. But that's not the case for all of them. By the age of 50, he found that a third of the men in that study had suffered from some sort of clinical mental illness, or a good percentage of them had become alcoholics, that they weren't all successful and happy the way he had expected them to be. Now, along the same period of time, there was another study done over the course of 70 years. And this one, instead of being Harvard men, this one was done in the inner cities of Boston. So it was mostly the children of immigrants, and a lot of them living in poverty. And they followed these young men, again, for 70 years, tracking them throughout the course of their life to see what made for a healthy, happy life. Well, as the results came together, it was fascinating what they found. First of all, here's what they didn't find. What makes for a healthy, successful, happy life? One, they found that money or a good start was not an indicator of whether these people had a healthy, successful, happy life. They also found, two, that good luck didn't guarantee happiness. So luck didn't seem to be a factor in any of this. The third thing they found was that there wasn't any particular personality trait that they could put their finger on and say that that's the thing that makes you happy and successful over the course of a lifetime. So what is the real secret to a happy new year and a happy life? Well, to best explain it, I brought an illusion, and this might be one that you've seen before. So I invite you to take a look and tell me what you see. Are you ready? Here it is. What do you see? You've seen this before? Do you see, you can post in the chat if you want to. Do you see a vase? Do you see the vase? Or do you see two faces? Which one do you see first? Post in the chat. Let us know what you see. Can you see them both? Can you see the vase? And can you see the two faces? Okay, so what does this mean? Well, I'm going to give you a little dash of quantum science here. So there's a scientist, a well-known quantum physician, Werner Heisenberg, and he is known for something called uncertainty principle. Uncertainty principle essentially says this: there is no such thing as a thing. There is no solid underlying reality. So basically, if you look at your hand, there's cells here, right? You drill down on that and you'll find atoms, and you drill down on that and you'll find subatomic particles, and you drill down and you drill down and you drill down. And eventually, what do you find? You find that most of what we see is mostly nothing. So uncertainty principle basically says there's no such thing as a thing. There is no solid underlying reality. What he says is what's real, the only thing that is real, is what is in the space between things. It is that energy that holds the thing together. And we can't necessarily see it, but there is this indivisible relationship between all things. So it's easy as we look at this illusion, it's easy on the spiritual journey to look at this and to say, okay, I see me and I see you, and we're separate, right? So sometimes that's what we see is there's these two different things. And what uncertainty principle says is there's no underlying thing, that what's real is what is in the space between us. It's what's in the space between us that is what's really real. What do we put into that space? So this is the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's a week to reflect on our relationships and what have I been putting into the space between me and other people in my life, whether that's other people in my community, other people in the world, other people in my family, other people in my workplace. What am I putting into the space between us, and what am I creating out of that? What is the creation that is the manifestation of what I put into the space between us? So that's where we're going for today. And, it's really about coming home to our oneness. I am a huge fan of Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, and her teachings. And I was listening to one of her meditations recently. And one of the things she said that really struck with me is this. I'll pull it up here so that you can see it as well. She says, without others, you could not be you. And to me, it really speaks to this illusion, right? Without the other, we can't really be who we are. Everything that we experience is experienced in relationship to someone or something else. I cannot be a mother without my daughter. I cannot be a sister without my brother. I cannot be a wife without my spouse. I cannot be a speaker without someone like you who is listening and receptive. I cannot be an author without having someone read what I write. So we are who we are in relationship to the world around us. When I first started teaching in Unity, I was really questioning my teachers. I said, we have this teaching that's so much about the inner journey. So if it's all about the inner journey, why do we need community? Why do we need churches? Why do we need to come together on Sunday mornings? And what I found is, yes, the journey begins within. That yes, we are the ones who source what we choose to put in the space between us, but that's only half the journey. That the richness of our spiritual life comes from taking the work that we do within and putting it into the world so that we are creating our reality, so that we are feeding the space between us. And the only way to practice that is in community and in relationship. So I love Esther Hicks, as I said. I love, she has this meditation that had some really profound statements that I have unitized a little bit to turn them into affirmations. So as we think about what it means to sculpt what lives in the space between us, I give you some points to ponder. All right. So for this, just have some fun a little bit. If you like shaking your finger at people, this is your chance to, get your finger shaken out. So are you ready for it? Because it's going to feel good. Are you ready? Yeah. Practice a little bit, loosen up. Okay. So I'm going to state an affirmation and then you repeat after me. Are you ready? Let's take a deep breath in. Okay. Here we go. Sometimes it seems, go ahead, repeat after me. Sometimes it seems like other people have the power to negatively impact my experience. To negatively impact my experience. But that is never true. Ready? That is never true. All right. So take that one in. Sometimes it seems like other people have the power to negatively impact my experience, but that is never true. I used to have a dog. Her name was Bella. And when she was a puppy, oh my gosh, this dog was just destroying our house. And so we were trying to train this puppy and using every trick in the book that we could think of. But the problem was, it didn't matter what we did. We could not create a consequence that mattered at all to this dog. So, she would tear things up in the house and we'd say, okay, Bella, you're going to have to stay outside because we can't trust you in the house. So we banished the dog to outside and she's thrilled. She's like, great, I'm outside. Now I can dig. I can dig and dig and dig and dig. And we go outside. We're like, no, you can't dig. You are no longer given free reign of the backyard. Now, when we're gone, we're going to have to put you in the bathroom so that we can contain you. And the dog is not like, oh, I'm in trouble. The dog is like, yes, the bathroom's exciting too. And look, there's soap and I can eat it. And she left soap bubbles all over the bathroom. And we're like, no, you can't do this. I'm going to give you my disapproving face. And you're not going to get to snuggle with me. Like we tried everything that we could to create a negative consequence to train this dog. And what Bella taught me, I think ultimately she taught me, is that this affirmation is true. Sometimes it seems like other people have the power to negatively impact my experience, but that is never true. And for this dog in particular, she would not allow anything to negatively impact her experience. So that was her gift and her great lesson to me. So take a deep breath in to kind of let that in. All right. And now we'll move on to the second one. Are you ready for it? Here we go. So repeat after me. You get to shake your finger on this one too. Sometimes it seems that their happiness depends on my response to them. But that is never true. Ready? So here it is all together. Sometimes others believe that their happiness depends on my response to them, but that is never true. I think of, when I first became a mother and here's this little baby, and when she's upset, everything in my being was like, it's up to me to take care of that. And maybe when we're a baby, and you're a mother, you're a parent, maybe there is a time when that baby's happiness is dependent upon me. But I think we learn that and we realize, like, we think that our happiness is tied to other people. Like, I have to do cartwheels. I have to stand on my head to make you happy. And the truth is, as we look at our relationships with each other, sometimes others may believe that their happiness depends on my response to them, but that is never true. So take a deep breath in on that. All right. So doing okay? All right. So let's take it to the next level. Okay. Here, next one. Repeat after me. When others lash out at me, with words or actions, their battle is not with me. But with themselves. So here it is together. When others lash out at me in anger with words or actions, their battle is not with me, but with themselves. I heard a story about a woman who her son was killed, and the young man, teenager who had killed her son, was on trial, and she was in that courtroom, and she remembers seeing his face and saying in the courtroom, saying, "I will kill you." In her grief, she was so angry and so upset. She's, "I will kill you." And the boy was sentenced. He went to prison. And a few months into his prison term, she went to visit him. She was his first visitor. And she brought him some little gifts. She brought him some cigarettes, some books, little things like that. And then she visited him again and again and again. And eventually, when his term was over, she realized that when he came out of prison, he was going to need a job. So she helped him to get a job. And she also realized that when he came out of prison, he wasn't going to have a place to stay. And so she offered her home to him while he got on his feet to help him establish himself until he could get his own place. So you can stay with me for a couple weeks. And those couple weeks turned into a couple months, turned into 8 months, 9 months. And after a while, she brings him into the living room and she says, "Do you remember that day in the courtroom? That day when I said that I would kill you?" Yes. She said, "I want you to know that I did kill you in that day. Like, that person that killed my son is dead to me. My son is dead. And what's left is you. And I would like to adopt you as my son." That's the power of putting forgiveness in the space between us, putting compassion in the space between us, putting love in the space between us. What are we creating with the thoughts, the words, the actions that we are putting into our relationships? So here's the bottom line. Last one. You ready? Repeat after me. When I release all concern about how others feel about me, and focus only on how I feel about them, I will understand who I really am. And I will discover what freedom, true freedom, really is. Here it is together. When I release all concern about how others feel about me and focus only on how I feel about them, I will understand who I really am, and I will discover what true freedom is really all about. So today is about choosing what we put in that space between us. What do we want to create as we move into this new year? I think about Jesus with his disciples, and as he was preparing them for what the road ahead would look like. It wasn't always easy. They weren't always met with people excited to see them. Sometimes they were met with people who, were stoning them and were trying to put them in jail, and were chasing them down and telling them to stop and telling them they were heathens. And they had all kinds of things happening. And I picture this chat that he must have had with them. And I like to imagine that, what if he's having that chat with us as well? Here's what he said. "Those who have kept my commandments and keep them are those who love me." And of course, remember, those commandments are simply to love each other and to love God. And those who have my commandments and keep them are those who love me. And those who love me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. It's a message. It's a ministry of love. And then he says, "Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. Rise and let us be on our way." So it brings us back to our study of those 268 Harvard men and their lifelong study, the quest to determine what makes for a happy life, what makes for a happy new year. And here's what they found. One of the most important things they discovered in this study, the thing that they found made the greatest impact for the happiness and the success of people in the study, was this. Are you ready? A little drum roll. There it is. Oh, you got a flash of it. Altruism. Altruism is selfless concern for the well-being of others. Altruism is the greatest determinant of the success, the happiness that we have in our life. And that altruism is ultimately a function of what we choose to put in the space between us. So if, as you are looking at this space between Christmas and the New Year, if you're looking at your relationships and you see that maybe you've put a little bit of judgment in the space between you and the ones you love, maybe you've put criticism into that space, maybe you've put fear or distrust into that space between, what if this is the time to create a shift? What if this is the time to feed the space between us with love and compassion and new possibilities? So I share with you one more quote. And here's, this is one of my favorite quotes. As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, that's you. As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Notice all those things feed the space between us. Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. And above all, clothe yourself with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. So that is my wish for you in this happy new year, is to clothe yourself with love. Use this week in the space between to reflect on what you have been creating in your relationships in your life. And if you notice there's something a little bit off, this is your time. This is your time to feed that space with your love, your compassion, to clothe yourself in love. So let's conclude our time together with these final affirmations. So repeat after me. The first one is, I bring love to the space between us. Repeat it. I bring love to the space between us. I bring compassion to the space between us. I bring compassion to the space between us. I bring forgiveness to the space between us. I bring forgiveness to the space between us. And finally, I bring appreciation to the space between us. I bring appreciation to the space between us. Wishing you a new year filled with love and joy, knowing that we create that through our practice and our willingness to share that practice, to put all the good that we can feed into our mind and our heart and put it out into the world, out into our relationships, out into our community in a way that creates a happy new year for each of us and for all beyond. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this special Sunday. Love and blessings to you and a happy new year.
Ticha noc, sveta noc, sledź śpi, samotny Josip świeci z Marią.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright round yon virgin mother and child. sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep, sleep in ease.
Thank you, Smitty, Julia, and the entire music team. Your musical ministry is a blessing to our ears. Thank you. And thank you, Mindy. That was an outstanding lesson today, exactly what I needed to hear. This is the time in our service where we practice the spiritual law of circulation and we offer our gifts to Unity of Ventura. As we give, we contribute to the success of our church home. There are many ways to donate, and by now, I believe you know each way. Whichever way you choose to donate, just know that we are so very grateful for you. Taking a moment, let's just go within for a sec and bring your awareness down into your heart space. From this space, give lovingly, joyfully, and willingly. I invite you to place your gift close to your heart as together we recite the following offering. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I receive. Sweet Spirit, we bless these offerings. Every check, every coin, every bill, knowing that they will be used in the will and the work of God through this ministry. We bless each giver knowing that they have given from a place of kindness and generosity. We know that they are being richly blessed in magical and wondrous ways. We thank each person for the sharing of their prosperity, and we see it returning to them 1,000-fold. We say, thank you, sweet Spirit. Thank you. Amen. Well, folks, I feel completely satisfied and uplifted from this morning's service. I hope you do too. We truly are blessed to be part of this community. It has been another spectacular morning practicing the unity principles with you. I wish to thank again Mindy for her message today. Thanks again to our entire music team. And a special thanks to you, Smitty, for always giving of your time and your talent week in and week out. Finally, a very special thanks to each one of you for being present with us today. We are Unity of Ventura because of you. So thank you. Remember to stay right here after services and join us in the spiritual salon for some fun conversation with your fellow truth seekers. We usually always find something fun in the music to talk about. So stay right here with us. Before we bring our services to a close today, I want to remind you that the prayer team is always available for anyone needing it. Please feel free to contact the team at prayerministry@unityoventura.org. Again, that's prayerministry@unityoventura.org. Next week, we welcome back Reverend Temple Hayes to the virtual pulpit for a very special Burning Bowl ceremony. This is one of my favorite events of the year. Please join us. We now conclude our service with the singing of the peace song and the reciting of the prayer for protection. Until next week, peace and blessings to each one of you, and have a happy, happy New Year. See you in 2021. Bye now.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous love. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.